Rhodes Media.
That's right, baby. Wrestlemania. Look, I don't know either. But I do know this. If you're interested in hanging out with me on Mondays and Thursday mornings at 11 a.m., you can join me here on YouTube with the membership package. $4.99 a month will get you access to those live streams where we can communicate. We hang out. It's very casual. I get stuff done on my computer, upload a podcast, and I'm kind of just hanging out. It's fun. We drink our coffees and we have a lot of dialogue talking about things like WrestleMania, some of the games that are coming up. If you want to join us, absolutely. I love you guys and I appreciate all your support. Information is down below in the description. And you also get access to our Discord channel where we chat live throughout games, and it's a lot of fun there as well. All right, appreciate it. Just appreciate it. I was feeling it. Screw sports for today, all right? I'm just being honest with you. This is probably the first time in 7 years that I've been this disconnected from the Phillies or from the Sixers at this time of the season. Saturday, went to WrestleMania, tailgated all day. That was the best day of my life. But then I wish I went to the one on Sunday. We'll get into this. I'm just sort of setting the scene, if you will. I get home around 2 a.m. I wake up at 7 a.m. because my beautiful daughter gets baptized. But after the baptism, then you got to go through the luncheon. After the luncheon, I had to help clean up. Then by the time I get home, I walk in the door at 6:52 p.m. So I try and squeeze in a 4-minute nap. I'm exhausted. I'm running on zero. And I'm like, all right, WrestleMania Day 2. This has to be the night where Cody finishes the story. All right, they can't butcher this. There's no way they can screw this up. It's too obvious. Triple H in control. You got the right people in place. And it delivered. It delivered and some. I keep going back to this sentence. I watched The Undertaker choke slam The Rock in this finish. Even Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso got a bit of revenge. Small part of the whole little fun 25, 30-minute ride we went on. Actually, when it was 9:45, we were getting ready for the main event. And, of course, the group chat's going off pretty heavily. Yo, fellas, this one's going to be a long one. They got plenty of time to have it all play out. And the reason that's important, because I'm saying you even have that tiny little portion of Jay and Jimmy. But when you look at the whole package, it adds to everything we just went through. Solo Sikoa. Dude, Seth Rollins and the Shield. And deep down, when it was going to be the night that Cody finished it all, I had a feeling, since this was saying goodbye to Roman, that there would eventually be the Shield in play to some degree. I didn't know how it would appear, but just something kept saying, yo, bro, listen to me. The Shield. And you even had the Shield. The smack against Seth Rollins to the back with the steel chair. This was unreal. Now, to be honest with you, I've only been super heavy into wrestling since last year's WrestleMania. So I'm 1 year in to this new fanatic of me. But back in the day I would watch, it was more about Lita being sexy. And it was the way Edge and Lita were all raunchy, and I was in awe. I'm like, this is great. The glory days of a young broad running around in the streets, if you know what I'm saying. All about it. But that's what I was all about it for. Then I went away, and for the last year, I've been locked in, haven't missed a SmackDown, haven't missed a Raw. If I'm busy that day, I'll DVR it, and I'll go back, lay in bed at night, fast forward through the commercials. So with my very non-biased and short living here as a WWE Universeman, if that even makes sense, it's the best WrestleMania of all time. That was one of the best finishes, the most electric. And it's to the point where after I'm done recording this, I'm rewatching it tonight. And I actually just listened to the press conference. I went press conference. That's how much they have me sucked in. I mean, I got the apparel going. I even got the T-shirt on underneath. Well, because I have to do laundry, so it was easy for me to put on something that I knew was cleaner, if I'm just being transparent. But I'm all in. I'm all in. The Undertaker choke slammed The Rock to help Cody Rhodes finish his story. I'm glad they didn't do anything stupid, though. One fear of mine was, is Damian Priest going to get involved with Money in the Bank? And they executed that final match. Sorry, it wasn't the final match. It was the first match of it all really well. To have him cash in after Seth losing. I wanted Seth to keep going. I'm a big Seth guy. All right, there was nothing I was anticipating more than being at the link, section 117, Saturday night. Whoa! Whoa! I'm probably losing my voice because I was doing exactly that at the top of my damn lung, freezing my ass off. And I understand there was some criticism of the fans on Saturday night. Stop it. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Honestly, in the link, it didn't sound as if there wasn't fire or there wasn't pop or there wasn't any emotion. It didn't feel that way at all. But as soon as I went home, I was starting to see the updates on what everyone was saying during Twitter because I was barely on my phone at the time. And I'm just in shock that everybody is taking that as the outcome here and not Gunther losing the Intercontinental Championship, all right? Or the fact that we saw them set up WrestleMania Night 2 with the beautiful tag team match. They saved night one with those final two matches. Rhea and Becky was a good one to set the tone, but nothing crazy happened. That's why I wondered if Sammy was going to somehow win. And they had the whole segment with his family and that being important. And when they stress that, you wonder, does that mean you're going to get a result that favors them, right? And Sammy started going like, hey, I think this might happen here. And I always mentioned that it's time for Gunther to take that next stride here. Let's elevate him. His greatness as the IC was very strong, but I don't know how you do that because I didn't want him to technically lose to Sammy because it devalues you, and I thought maybe he could win, but then here comes Damian Priest, and then Damian Priest cashes in. But why would you cash the Money in the Bank in for an Intercontinental Championship? You know what I'm saying? So there's so many thoughts here, and that's what I missed when I was a child, and Booker T was one of my favorite wrestlers. I didn't have that much knowledge breaking it all down. It was just the wrestling part, which is a big part. I like the poetry of the craft for sure, but if you don't have any storytelling or understand the logic of the storytelling and the deep importance of it all, the Shield is a significant part of Cody Rhodes when it all comes back together. And Seth, after he already went to battle with Drew prior, do I feel bad for Drew? A little bit, yeah, because it does suck that the one time you rise it over your head, you're dealing with no fans in a very uncomfortable position for the WWE. Damian Priest, to me, look, when they lose the tag team titles, the Judgment Day, to hold power still, needed to have something other than Rhea Ripley. Damian Priest cashing in one of these 2 days, realistically the second day, is what was supposed to happen. It needed to happen. So Gunther loses. Damian Priest now at the head of it. Drew and him are almost in that similar tier for me. I like Drew the heel, this new character that he's sort of portrayed over the little bit of time here. I think it's strong. I think you have a good chance of that working. I think you have a good chance of Damian Priest working. Sometimes, though, when you have a belt, to me, I like you to be more solo than in a group. And I know the Judgment Day has Rhea Ripley, and that works. But Maybe it's because she's a woman. She does seem to separate herself from the others at times with it. And maybe now that Damian Priest has it on his shoulders, that's something he does too. But I like them being more of a face of who they are as an individual more than a product of the surroundings. And I get that to get that push, maybe you need to join the Judgment Day, and then you eventually do. And I like Finn Balor a lot. There's nothing wrong with it. That's more of maybe a nitpick when it's all said and done. I needed Rhea to win the championship. I'm glad she did. I like that Bayley's in charge too. I like the idea of Bianca getting back in the mix, but you have to incorporate her in with Jade to try and boost her stock a tad. She is ripped. Her body, she is so shredded. It's absurd. I mean, I can't stop thinking every time I see Jade how jacked of a human being she is. Not that Bianca isn't. Not that there's not a lot of people that are traps touching the bottom of their earlobes by accident. Their shoulders are sticking through the roof. Those damn traps. They're all like that. But Jade, what else happened? Oh, I thought the KO, Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, and Randy Orton match was great. There was a time I hit up Tyrone. I'm like, yo, Ty, I have no idea who's going to win this right now. And it was maybe 70, 80% in, and it could have been either of the three. It could have been any of the three. And I like that Logan retains. My one issue with that is I want the U.S. title to be more involved. I want it to be sort of how they're talking about now Damian Priest title. There's a respect. There's a responsibility when you carry it to it being a working man or a working woman's type of title. Let it go to work. Let that U.S. title have that pop, that power on a night-to-night basis, a Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown, and not just these crazy big events. That's when Logan Paul is going to show up with his damn prime. But I thought it was excellent. It was such a good weekend. It's such a good weekend. And believe it or not, this is going to sound so asinine, but last year's Raw After Mania got shit on by a lot of WWE fans, but I just watched WrestleMania as my first, hey, let me get back into this, WrestleMania 39, so I didn't have real knowledge on anything leading up to anything that I was watching or who they were, really. I had to learn about everyone here. Raw After Mania gets criticized like no other of last year. And Cody gets just thrown around like he's a nobody, abused by Brock Lesnar. And that final segment before they went to end the show, really, not to break, to end the show, it was like, wow, that could arguably be the worst Mania of Raw after Mania of all time. I'm like, that's sort of what was like, whoa, believe it or not. I know, and I hate to admit that because to the wrestling fans, that's sort of a smack in the face. But when I saw what Brock did to Cody, not having any knowledge of prior experiences, if they've ever had a feud, if they've never had a feud, nothing, I was like, whoa, that was intense. I now need to be plugged in and see what occurs next, even though I'm sure Triple H has something set up, whether it's somebody new coming in. What if it's MJF? AEW is hitting the toilets. I try. I do. And I could watch Wednesdays because I'm bored during the week after sports are over and I record my post-game pod. It's time for me to lock into some wrestling late at night, and AEW on Wednesday I can catch. But on Saturday, I'm running around. I got to fit in a 4 o'clock Phillies game, a 7 o'clock Flyers game. I just don't have time for it. Then I miss Saturday, and then I feel obligated to go back. I never do. Then Wednesday rolls around. I get lost in the sauce. I do appreciate AEW pay-per-view events because as we saw with Sting's final match, that Darby will do stupidity stuff, doing flips and jumping in the glass, and his back bleeds within seconds, and it looks scary, and I don't know why you did that. You're nuts. You're nuts. You're nuts. But it's fun to watch, but you're nuts. Nuts. Nuts! What is this, ECW? Congratulations, Paul Heyman. What's next for the Bloodline? What's next for the Bloodline? Where do you go here? Jay and Jimmy underperformed on night one. But you got Solo, The Rock, Roman, taking some time off. Where do we go? Where do we go? That was so perfectly executed. Something crazy is happening on Monday night, though. somebody's making a return. I threw around the idea of maybe somebody new losing their belt, so it could be a rip out of the chest moment, similar to what we saw with Drew McIntyre. I thought they were going to set up Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. It was fun to see him on the broadcast take it off his elbow and start making things happen out there. I'm starting to really enjoy CM Punk here. I know he really hasn't even been getting started, but just a little bit that he's done since injured, and I'm interested, maybe not excited, but interested to see what this AEW whole drama that plays out with CM Punk and them going behind the scenes. Nuts. What I just saw was nuts. You had the Mummers. You had Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Thought that was cool by Seth Rollins. And, of course, Jason Kelsey and Lane throwing their hands into the cookie jar is always fun. The ladder match with the tag teams, Miz winning. I didn't like the way that they just automatically got to Austin Theory and Grayson Waller winning one of the belts in 5 seconds. The idea of splitting up the tag teams, I'm all in for. And there were some absurd moments, some really nice DIY over the top ropes, throwing people in the ladders, and there were some exciting moments. R-Truth and The Miz, they could be funny with it. I'm sure we can get some humor out of it. R-Truth is cracking me the hell up. You can't see me. Like, what? It's always hysterical. So they can have fun with it, but how did they get to the point where Austin Theory and Waller wins it? And I don't like to fall off from Austin Theory because he had something. He did have something prior to him going downhill. Now he's almost being made fun of. I think that shtick or that little gimmicky concept him and Waller have, I think it's silly. I don't think that's the best way to really utilize the assets of Austin Theory. Grayson Waller, sort of a Miz type. I actually like Miz. I think he's good on the mic, and I think he's very talented in the ring, too. But he can have the show and have this personality, and that could work for him. But I feel you're dragging Austin Theory down by tying him with Grayson. He's above Grayson. There was juice surrounding when he had the belt on. I thought, at least. So I don't know. I think he's kind of did a huge dip. While Sami Zayn going the other way, I like the idea of him being the Intercontinental Championship or to win it. I really enjoy it. I like it a ton. I thought it was corny that he needs help and Chad Gable helps. Are they going to turn Chad heel and have him go against Sami Zayn and somehow go behind his back and backstab him as coach? Or am I reaching way too hard? Could you even imagine a world where that man isn't on the babyface side? He just seems to have something about him that will always be likable. But I guess a turn against Sami Zayn could be it. I didn't like the corniness of whatever they were doing. He didn't believe in himself, and then he's doing the one-on-ones by sitting in the stands of an empty arena and all, and he was giving his 2 cents on how people are counting him out. I don't know. I thought it was too corny. He once took down the Usos with Kevin Owens, who I thought had a chance to win today, and then both of them, because they showed the segment of Sami saying it's your time as he was walking out. Could you imagine what that adrenaline rush is like to know you're going to get thrown through tables and someone's going to frog splash on top of you in front of 70,000 people, and that adrenaline to calm the pace down? Roman Reigns does the slow, methodical stuff, and to be able to keep your emotions in check. Think about the magnitude of that wrestling match. Walking out, kissing your hot wife, and you know that the crowd is going to erupt for your song. It's your night, and you know it's your night prior, and all these people are going to experience it, and then you're going to have the floodgates open up because everything with your family and your father and finishing the story. The whole thing, man. The whole thing. It's crazy. How do you actually calm yourself down to execute? This isn't Monday Night Raw, 9:17 p.m. on USA. It's just not this is the biggest of the big, and now you have people jumping in. I brought this up earlier, how I started about 1 year ago because of Raw After Mania. I think that there's this new wave of fans that are going to jump on now like I did 1 year ago. I just did it 1 year prior, but they're going through that experience that I did, and theirs was 85,000 times better than what I got. I mean, let's be honest. I got arguably the worst of all time, and that got me back. So realistically, I think I was a hidden WWE fan this whole time, and I just never jumped back from when I stopped watching when I was super young. There was a reason why I was intrigued. I guess I was just too busy worried about other things. Chasing skirt, some Little League action, stick handling the biscuit on the driveway with the roller blades, pretending I was winning the Stanley Cup every night. You know? I'm going to say it again. John Cena came out. I almost overlooked that because there was so much happening, unless I probably mentioned it at some point. The Undertaker choke slammed The Rock to get this thing done. I actually want to end this because now that I'm talking about it, it reminds me how awesome it is, and I want to go back and watch it all tonight, which I will. And I'll probably watch it again tomorrow. Crazy, man. Just crazy. All right, everybody. Love you to death. Can't believe we did a 20-minute little wrestling hit. What are you going to do? That's where my mind was at. That's where my brain was at. And people on Twitter seem to be interested. So that's what we did. And I don't know. Whatever. I don't know if we'll do it again or not. I just figured this is where my heart was at. So here at Rhodes Media, the boss sometimes could be a huge prick, huge asshole. But other times he gives me freedom to do whatever I want. All right, everybody. Love you to death. I'll talk to y'all on the next one.